Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Music Den. I'm your host, Armando Venditti. Hoping you guys are having a good day. Today, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be doing another episode of Ranking the Albums. And the band I'm going to be talking about today for Ranking the Albums is a band that some people either love or they just can't get behind. I got to tell you, when I was listening to these albums for the episodes, I had to take a break at one point just for a couple of days because the music for on these albums can be very intense. The band I'm talking about is The Cure, formed in Crawley, West Sussex, England. In 1976, they went under two names prior to settling on The Cure in 1978. Those names are Malice from 1976 to 1977 and Easy Cure from 1977 to 1978. Now, The Cure have been signed to many labels over the years. Fiction is a long-term label. Polydor, Geffen, Sire, Electro Asylum Records. I Am is another independent label, I believe, that they were signed to. Now, over the years, the band have gone through many members. Um, Presently in the band, you have longtime member, mainstay, lead singer, guitarist, main songwriter, and producer Robert Smith, Simon Gallup on bass, Roger O'Donnell on keyboards, Perry Bamonte on guitars, keyboards, various instruments. I hope I say that correctly, his name. Jason Cooper on drums and percussion, Reeves Gabrels on guitars and six-string bass. Now, Reeves Gabrels has also worked with other artists, most notably as David Bowie uh, during his time in Tin Machine, and also worked with David Bowie as a uh, member of his band for recording albums and touring member of his band. The Cure have sold an amount of 30 million albums worldwide. They've released 40 singles. The most recent album, Songs of a Lost World, was released on November 1st, 2024, to critical acclaim from both critics and fans. A lot of critics and fans have said that they've pretty much returned to, there were, it's a, sorry, that the album is pretty much a return to form for the band. And funny thing about Songs of a Lost World, um, they will be recording another album I believe they're recording it now. And it will be out in 2025 or 26. And a possible third album will be on the way as well. You know, with Songs of a Lost World, they started writing and recording stuff for the album in 2019, pre-pandemic. And Robert Smith has said the songs that they started recording in 2019 are very different from the songs that ended up on Songs of a Lost World. So who knows what we're going to be getting with their next release, and the release after that if it gets that far. Now, as I said, the band have released 14 albums to date. Um, I really had to take a break after listening to the first four. I was going to say four albums. The the albums overall. I reached. I was at the last two albums to listen to make this list, and I had to take a break because there was a lot of music, and I was depressed. I gotta tell you, the only other time that I found it difficult to do a ranking of the albums list was when I did the episode for Tool, because Tool is a very heavy band in terms of their musical compositions to get through. So, but I did the list for The Cure, and I'm going to give this list to you right now. Now, the first four albums 14 to 11, I've grouped them all together, and I'll tell you why I did that in a sec. Those albums are Three Imaginary Boys from 1979, and as I go through the list here, 17 Seconds from 1980, Faith from 1981, and Pornography from 1982. Now, the reason why I did that is because the music on those first four albums is pretty much the same. Uh, you know, heavy guitar chords, heavy bass, uh, very sparse vocals, uh, walls of keyboards and textures of that like. And in terms of the bass work, I would compare the bass work on the Cure albums, specifically in the first four albums, um, as well as the other ones in the catalog. I would compare the bass work to Peter Hook from New Order. You can hear the similarities. Well, I can't. It's there. It's prominent at times, and it is identifiable for me. I when I hear that, I hear New Order. But again, the songs on the first four albums, from uh, Three Imaginary Boys to Pornography, it's pretty much very much the same in terms of style and in terms of uh, themes for the tracks. So that's why I grouped them together. Now, coming in at number 10, we have The Top, released May 4th, 1984. Now, 1983-84 was an interesting year for Robert Smith. Not only was he a member of The Cure, but he was also a member of Siouxsie and the Banshees. In fact, he helped write and record the album Hyena for Siouxsie and the Banshees. It did come to a point where he had to decide whether or not he was going to stay with Siouxsie and the Banshees or leave and go back to The Cure, because at one point he was juggling both bands at once. But as he said, he contemplated breaking up the band, The Cure, because they were not getting along at the time, and there was a lot of internal strife, dependency issues going on. He ultimately decided to leave Siouxsie and the Banshees, which most of the band members understood from Siouxsie and the Banshees, except lead singer Siouxsie Sioux. She took she took it really bad, and she was quite upset with Robert Smith for doing that. But he did what he did. He couldn't understand why, because he said, he gave them 2 weeks' notice that he was going to leave after a tour that they did. And he said that that was more notice than any other band member had given them when they had left the band. So he couldn't understand her being upset. Now, back to The Top. The Top, in terms of musical styles, they started to move away from the goth, morose kind of stark imagery that they were doing with the music, and move more towards, verse, chorus, verse, bridge, chorus, fade out, kind of, more song structures on the albums. You know, guitar driven nonetheless. It is a good album. Songs of note are Shake Dog Shake, which I do believe there's a video for it of them doing a performance of Shake Dog Shake on Top of the Pops. Starts off the album, a guitar-driven track, really nice full snare drum sound on the track. Other songs of note are Wailing Wall, which has a Middle Eastern kind of influence on the track, very percussive. Give Me It, which another fast tempo track, anguished vocals on a very pop oriented type of track. Great guitar and bass textures on the track. Other songs of note are the single The Caterpillar, which again, very rhythmic, very bass heavy, melodic. Piggy in the Mirror is another uh, interesting track. Uh, The Empty World, again, good marching rhythm on this track. Um, the Top, 6 minutes and 50 seconds. In my notes, I have here repetitive drum pattern, almost hypnotic, and very prominent bass on the track. So that's number 10. Coming in at number 9, we have Wild Mood Swings, released May 6th, 1996. Now, I gotta tell you, I first of all, I should tell you too. I first heard of The Cure back in 1983 with the song "The Love Cats" from the Japanese Whispers compilation album. And I've heard of the music from the band through the 80s and into the 90s. I lost track of the band in the 1990s, and I just recently started listening to the band again with the release of the latest album. And I do have the box set Join the Dots, which I got for a good price, and it's really good, 4 disc set. With Wild Mood Swings, they basically it's a hodgepodge of musical styles. And it's got to be said too, musically, the band has had, I guess you'd call it, a excuse me, a schizophrenic um, existence with the music press and the media, in terms of when Robert Smith ever thought that the band was getting too popular with the more pop-oriented tracks, sorry, he felt it was his responsibility to sort of steer the band back towards the more darker kind of music, the more sort of goth kind of, uh, stark and morose, melancholy kind of themes in the music and the playing. Because he, at the time, when times when they were getting popular in the media, he really didn't feel comfortable with the popularity of the band. So he felt he had to steer it in the other direction. While Mood Swings is pretty much, like I said, like a hodgepodge of styles. You have songs like Want, again, guitar driven, very melodic, thick guitar tone, and a lot of use of guitar feedback on the track. Club America, which is track two, um, which again is another catchy rhythmic track, really guitar driven. Club America, Robert Smith said he got the idea for the song after going out to the clubs one night with the guys from Depeche Mode after seeing them in concert. Other songs of note are This Is a Lie. It's very orchestral piece. Great 3/4 time signature, waltz time signature. Beautiful strings on the track. And use of subtle percussion on the track. The 13, which is track four, which I do believe was I do remember it being a single release from the album. Nice rhythm on the track, nice use of horns. It's a Latin tinged track. Again, hodgepodge of musical styles. Mint Car is another good track on the album. Very melodic, very catchy hook. Great guitar, great acoustic guitar in this track. Um, again, this album, the title of the album, Wild Mood Swings, fits it quite appropriately. There are 14 tracks on the album in total, so that's number 9. Coming in on number 8, we have Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me, released May 26th, 1987. Double album, 18 songs in total. This is where the album previous to this, they started to go into more of a pop vein, even more popular than the music on the top album. But Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me, they went in for the pop, you know, uh, leanings head first, right into the pool. With songs like, Why Can't I Be You, which was one of the singles from the album. Hot, Hot, Hot is another single from the album. In my notes, I have here, starts off with the track The Kiss, 6 minutes and 17 seconds. Very rhythmic percussion on the track, thick melodic guitar tone, and use of distortion pedal on the guitars for this track. Catch is another single from the album. Nice use of violin. Um, it's a great track. A nice use of brushes on the drums, a laid back use, for the drums on this track. Other songs of note, again, I said, Why Can't I Be You? Starts off side two, 3 minutes, 11 seconds, very quick. Great horns, great acoustic guitar on the track. How Beautiful You Are is another beautiful track on the album, good track. The Snake Pit, 6 minutes and 56 seconds. Mid-tempo piece, layers of guitars, extended instrumental sections, and the vocal doesn't come in until 2 minutes and 24 seconds. They would be Guilty of overusing that technique on later albums, but we'll get to that later. Um, Hey You is another good track. Again, short, 2 minutes and 22 seconds. Fast paced tempo. Great guitar and sax on this track. Nice use of horns. Again, Just Like Heaven. The only thing I could say about Just Like Heaven is pop confection. You know, um, All I Want is another melodic track with heavy guitar chords. Hot, 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 again, another single from the album. Um, just a good album, just a really good album. Very bold to release a double album. I think it clocks in at like 74 minutes and change. Is it too long of an album? Perhaps. But I mean, they felt that they had all this material that they just wanted to put out. Other songs on the album of note are Icing Sugar, great fast tempo, uh, nice sax and great bass on the track. Um, so yeah, that's number 8. Coming in at number 7 is The Head on the Door, released August 13th, 1985. This was where the band would get into more of the pop laden tracks, more pop oriented. Uh, I remember the lead up track and the single from the album In Between Days. 2 minutes and 57 seconds, very short track, but very effective track, very melodic, very melancholy at the same time. Just beautifully done, beautifully crafted, just amazing piece of work. Other songs on it are Kyoto Song, which track 2, Japanese influenced instrumentation, and very measured instrumentation too, very sort of definite, but very well paced out uh, type of instrumentation on the album. Other songs of note on The Head on the Door are The Blood, which has more of a Spanish feel to it. Spanish guitar, use of castanets. Six Different Ways is another good track. Prominent piano, string patches used on the album, and prominent drums on this track. Push is another good track on the album. Ends off side 1. Good rhythm, nice full drum sound, and great guitar. Other songs of note are Close to You, or no, sorry, Close to Me. Sorry, Close to Me, one of the other singles from the album. And if you remember with Close to Me, um, the video had them appearing that they were sort of in a confined space, you know, and they were using household um, uh, utensils, like a comb, to sort of make sounds in order to do the instrumentation. And again, it had a very kind of a claustrophobic feel on the track. Very good, though. Very good. Very memorable. Very memorable. Um, so that's great. Again, other songs of note on The Head on the Door. The final track, Sinking. Great bass, solid piano. I was going to say odd, not solid. I can't read my own typing here. Odd piano tuning on the track, and has a very melancholy ending. And it's a good way to end the album. So yeah, it is a really good album. I'm gonna start listening to that more. Coming in at number 6, we have Wish, released April 21st, 1992. Uh, this album, when it came out, was a bit of a surprise for me. The lead single I remember, there were 3 singles released from this album: High, Friday I'm in Love, and a Letter to Elise. Now, I remember the track Friday I'm in Love, and the only way I can describe Friday I'm in Love is, you know how if you're living in an area that you can feel where you can feel the seasons change, like you're indoors through the winter months, and then the weather gets warmer and the spring comes and you start going out more and you open your front door, you walk outside and you feel the warm breeze on your face, or you can breathe in the fresh air, or you can see the leaves start to change to green or come out, sorry, and you see the green leaves on the trees and you can hear the birds singing. That's how I feel when I hear Friday I'm in Love. It's a very optimistic song, very bright, very catchy, um, which a lot of this album is more heavy, like more guitar oriented, but still with the pop sensibility. And I'll go through it with you. Um, Starts off with the track Open. It's 6 minutes and 51 seconds. In my notes, I have here, it's a harder edge track, a wall of guitars that come in. Drums aren't as prominent on this track, though. The drums kind of take a back seat on this track. The track High, which is the first single from the album, released in March of 1992. Um, High for me, I have in my notes melodic, great guitar and bass on this track. Apart is another track worth mentioning on the album. Uh, 6 minutes and 40 seconds. Very brooding guitar treatments on this track. Prominent bass, extended instrumental section on this track. Again, they would use um, that method in terms of extended instrumental sections on albums to come. But again, fantastic. From the edge of the deep green sea, 7 minutes and 44 seconds. Melodic acoustic guitars and synths against a wall of guitar treatments. Uh, nice use of guitar on this track, and good use of distortion pedal on this track. This they would use the distortion pedal quite a bit moving forward. Again, good album, really good album. Other songs to note: A Letter to Elise, great bass, very melodic, relaxed mid-tempo feel, and great guitar work on the track. Um, Other songs to note are Cut, 5 minutes and 55 seconds, fast tempo, use of feedback, great guitar, and a good use of distortion on this track. Um, the album ends with a song called End. And I have in my notes here, again, very guitar driven, backwards effects that are used, lots of cymbal crashes on this track. So they're going between the rock, harder edge rock, and more melodic pop on this album. Coming in at number 5 in the ranking, we have Bloodflowers, released February 2nd, 2000 through Polydor Records. There were no singles released from this album, and the the reason why there were no singles, I believe, that were released from the album was because Robert Smith, I believe, wanted you to hear the album as a whole in terms of the music that was on it. Um, Polydor asked him to edit some of the songs. Out of This World was edited down at one point from 644 to like 435. And Watching Me Fall, track 2, clocks in at a whopping 11 minutes and 13 seconds. And that was edited down to like 6 minutes and change. But Robert Smith eventually released the tracks the way they were because he felt that if you edited down the songs, you missed a good amount of the essence of the track and the reason behind the song. So he kept the tracks eventually the way they were. Um, I like the album. It is heavy. It is very guitar driven in some spots. Um, but again, it's secure, right? You're gonna get a mixed bag of songs and musical arrangements on their albums. Now it starts off again with Out of This World, clocking in at 6 minutes and 44 seconds. Nice acoustic guitar, nice lingering guitar notes that he does on the track. Very relaxed feel and tempo. Again, instrumental, extended instrumental intro, use of brushes on the drums, and good piano runs on this track. Watching Me Fall, again, very morose kind of feel. Backwards effects used on the track, very guitar driven, distorted guitar treatments, mid-tempo pace, thick guitar tone, vocals, have a quality of angst about them, which, is normal for a Cure album. And the song overall has a droning quality to it. Um, After Watching Me Fall, we have a track Where the Birds Always Sing, nice mid-tempo feel, guitar-driven track, atmospheric synths. Maybe Someday is next. Guitar-driven track, nice use of piano. Um, you know, there is organ on the track, but it's quite buried in the mix, I feel. Patchy guitar chords at the end of the track, almost like they're dropping in guitar chords on the like releasing the pause button on the guitar tracks on this piece, but it's effective on the end of the track. Coming Up is another good song, track number 5. Again, simmering synths. It's a very guitar laced kind of track, and they also have a good use of a wall of guitars on the track. But it does start with sort of underplayed, kind of like simmering tension with the synths that are used on the track. Fantastic piece of work. Um, the album overall is quite good. Again, it's quite heavy. Other songs of note are Blood Flowers, the title track, um, track number 10. And in my notes, I have here steady bass drum with percussion overdubs, very melodic, nice prominent guitar, great guitar tone and solo, and has I call it a spiraling effect in the mix that they use on the track. And it's very effective, very effective. That's number 5. Coming in at number 4, we have The Cure, self-titled, released June 25th, 2004. This album was going to be a lot higher on the ranking, but you know what? It is what it is. It's at number 4. Again, it's a very guitar-driven album. Um, I really don't remember a lot about this album when it came out, but listening to it, The Cure were going for more of a heavy guitar sound. And I believe the producer's name is uh, Ross Robinson. And I do know that Simon Gallup said that when they worked with Robinson, that he wasn't a fan of Robinson's technique as a producer. Um, Robinson would actually go and take Simon Gallup's bass and try to play it, in the studio. And Gallup would say, "What are you doing?" "Oh, I'm just trying to show you how to, achieve the bass sound I want." And Simon Gallup said, "Look, I'm the bass player, not you. Put the guitar down. If you want me to achieve a sound, you tell me what to play and I'll play it. Do not touch my bass guitar." He was really upset. And yeah, the rest of the band members really didn't like the guy too much. And another side note, Robert Smith said, he and Robinson did their own listing, a running order of the album. And Robinson basically grouped all the, as Robert Smith would call it, the more depressing songs all together, um, which to him thought, it made a statement. But according to Robert Smith, he liked his version better. And in the end, he makes the rules. He's in charge. So that's what happened. The album is good. I'm going to be listening to it more. It is more guitar heavy. Uh, the lead track called Lost. In my notes, I have here a lot of rhythm guitar, heavy drums, layers of guitars, vocal grows in intensity towards the end of the track, almost like he's screaming into the mic that, he's frustrated. He feels lost, quote unquote. Uh, in my notes, I have here too themes of isolation lyrically, uh, a lot of use of good distorted guitar effects. Labyrinth is next, 5 minutes and 14 seconds. Repetitive guitar passage in my notes, very rhythmic and percussive. Filtered vocals that come in. Again, a lot of use of wall of guitars. Again, it's also very melodic. And again, the vocals filled with kind of like a feeling of angst in their delivery. But you know what? It's a good track. Before Three is track number three. Um, Again, heavy rhythm guitar, very melodic, and a very guitar-driven album. Truth, Goodness, and Beauty is track four, and this and another track are were not available on the North American release. The drums are prominent on Truth, Goodness, and Beauty, and the guitars are subtle. It is melodic and has a good strong bass presence on the track. The End of the World, um, track number five, good bass, very melodic, great synths and great drums on the track. Anniversary is another track number six on the album. Rhythmic, percussive, use of guitar feedback on this piece, but it's used very well. Uh, Us or Them, again, heavy guitar chords on this track. Again, another track where the vocals are filled with angst and has more of a grunge sound on this track. You know, grunge at this point being dead. Fake is another track that was excluded on the North American uh, release, but you know, it's not really memorable of a track. Alt End is another track, track number nine. Great drums, very rhythmic, great guitar, and very melodic. Track number 10, I don't know what's going on. Don't we all feel like that sometimes? Uh, Very guitar driven, very percussive, and very melodic piece of work. Fantastic. Taking Off is another good track. Uh, Great fast tempo, great guitar, reminiscent of In Between Days from The Head on the Door. Fantastic. That was the first track I remembered that it reminded me of when I heard it, Taking Off. It brought me back to 1985 right away. Good song. Good song. Never is another good track. Percussive, heavy rhythm guitar, a lot of cymbal crashes on the track. The Promise is the lengthiest track on the album, 10 minutes and 21 seconds. Heavy guitar chords, heavy bass, use of distorted pedals or distortion pedals, sorry, wall of guitar textures. Um, the track basically goes along like this, very even keel, right? It doesn't build an intensity in terms of instrumentation, but it just goes along and it's good. Um, there is a building of tension in the track, but it doesn't peak at any point. The final track on the album is a short track called "Going Nowhere." And in my notes, I have here great melody, slow tempo, nice guitar, and beautiful piano runs on this track. Great, great, good way to end the album. Okay, coming in on number three, and I'm gonna get shit for this. We have Songs of a Lost World, released November 1st, 2024, with the two lead-off singles, Alone and A Fragile Thing. Now, there's this album, the roots of this album start back in, listen to me, back in 2019, pre-pandemic. There were something like 30 songs written during these sessions, and eight were selected for this album. Now, Robert Smith has said that there would be no tour for this album, but there would be a tour for the release of the next album. So apparently there's another album coming, and there's a third album coming at some point, if it gets that far. Now, it's a good album. Um, Musically, it is beautifully executed, great piano, great drums, great use of guitar textures and synth textures. I have to be in a certain mood to listen to this album. I like it. I mean, the even from the cover art that you saw, the picture of the statue's head called La Baguette, I believe. As good as this album is, it is of one note thematically, in terms of with song titles like Alone and Nothing is Forever, A Fragile Thing, War Song, Drone, No Drone, I Can Never Say Goodbye, All I Ever Am, and End Song. Now, it's very one note, very depressing. This is where I had to stop for a couple of days and not listen to it anymore. Just because the subject matter is very heavy, and all of these songs have extended extended guitar intros, extended instrumental intros, and that was one of the knocks that the album took from reviewers, is that the album is too depressing. And as good as it is musically, I have to agree. It is good. That's why it's number three. It was going to be number two, but it is number three for a reason. I need to be in a certain mood to listen to this album and to be strong in my head psychologically before I listen to this album. And it is good. There's some beautiful piano work again on this album, beautiful guitar work from Robert Smith and Reeves Gabrels, great drums, although the drums are sort of, they're not the focal point of the music. They're there, they're prominent, but they're not really, again, the focal point for what's happening on the tracks. But it is a good album. So that's number three. Coming in at number two, as I get to my notes here, we have 413 Dream, released October 27th, 2008. Um, I like this album more than I thought I would. Um, Again, as you saw from the album cover art, very simplistic cover art, uh, or some people would say simplistic, but it's a great album. More heavy guitar oriented album, uh, with songs like Underneath the Stars that starts off the album, sorry, heavy guitar chords, use of loops on this track, um, good bass, and great textures and use of feedback on the guitar. And it does have a melancholy feel, which is a prominent theme in Robert Smith's music. And he has said that he prefers, I don't know if I mentioned this before in the video, but earlier, but he prefers to do albums that have, or group songs together on albums that have one common theme all throughout, not like a mixed bag of musical styles. He likes to do thematic based albums, either musically or lyrically, you know. After Underneath the Stars, we have The Only One, which was the single from the album. Short track, 3 minutes, 57 seconds. Catchy, up-tempo, melodic, great guitar and bass, pretty much pop confection, you know. Up next, after The Only One, as I go down my notes, we have The Reasons Why, mid-tempo, melodic, great guitar tone, melody and counter melody on the album, on the track, sorry. Bob just went out. Um, and that's what I like about the music on this album. There's a lot of melody and counter melody and melodies within the melody kind of a thing going on. So it's very layered that way. Um, Good track, good track. A lot of good music on this album. I'm going to be listening to it more. Freak Show is another great track, short track, 2 minutes, 30 seconds, fast tempo, great thick guitar tone, very melodic. Siren Song is another good one, another good short track, 2 minutes, 22 seconds, sorry. Nice relaxed tempo, great slide guitar, nice understated piano use on this track. And again, another track that has a melancholy vibe to it. Um, beautiful, beautiful. The Real Snow White is another good track. Again, melodic, great guitar tone, uh, pop oriented, a lot of use of feedback on the guitar on this track. The Hungry Ghost is another good one. Uh, great, great guitar, very melodic, thick guitar tone, great bass, nice rhythm guitar, and guitar textures on this track. Track 8 is another track called Switch, 3 minutes and 48 seconds. Um, fast tempo, great thick guitar tone, guitar driven, and a nice use of loops on this track for the drums. Just great. The Perfect Boy, again, a short track, 3 minutes, 21 seconds. Great guitar, mid-tempo, very melodic. Again, another track with where the vocals are filled with angst. Um, you know, he's known for that, Robert Smith, right? Track number 10 is This Here and Now with You. 4 minutes and 6 seconds of pop confection. Great melody, nice guitar, strong vocal. Um, and he's basically saying, I love you and I'm not going anywhere. I want to be with you. And that's what's going to happen. You and I are going to be in this together until we both drop. You know what I mean? Just a beautiful love song. Sleep When I'm Dead. No, not the Bon Jovi track. Uh, a- Another fast tempo track, great guitar. Has a good catchy hook to it. The scream, very percussive track, heavy bass, repetitive rhythm guitar, and again, a wall of guitar textures, like building and building of guitar layers. It's just, like a almost like a drapery, I should say, of guitar textures on this track. It's Over is another fantastic piece of work. Heavy rhythm guitar, distorted bass, fast tempo, and layers of guitars. Uh, and the track really has a frenetic pace to it overall. So it is really good. It's a really good piece of work. That's number two. Coming in at number one, we have Disintegration, released May 2nd, 1989, clocking in at 72 minutes, 12 tracks in total. To me, this is one of the most consistent albums musically and melody wise that the band have ever released. Okay, it is amazing. It is just a beautiful collection of songs. Um, if there was one album that was constant in terms of its thematic premise, it would be Disintegration. Again, just beautifully crafted songs. Depressing. I'm not going to say they're not, but just beautifully crafted and beautifully executed. Plain Song starts the album. Melodic, a nice wall of synths, very atmospheric melodies and counter melodies going on. Again, with the synths, they're almost like almost orchestrated synths. They're not orchestrated, obviously. They're lush, they're full, they're well-rounded, but they're just beautifully done. Other songs of note on the album are all the songs are great, 12 in total. Pictures of You, um, very prominent drums, and nice use of sitar on the track. Closed Down, very rhythmic, very percussive, atmospheric. Uh, Beautiful synths and very melodic. You know, uh, Love Song is another fantastic one of the singles from the album. Very prominent drums. The drumming on this album is simply fan effing tastic. There's no way around that. It is a good sounding album sonically with the drums, just amazing. In Love Song, I have prominent drums, nice organ, good strong bass, and again, a good good use of melodies and counter melodies on this track. As I go down my list here. Next up, track number 5, Last Dance. Repetitive bass line, atmospheric synths, nice guitar textures on this track. Lullaby, another single from the album. Nice acoustic guitar, very guitar-driven track, mid-tempo, lush synth work on this, like very, again, orchestral. I keep saying orchestral piece of work. Fascination Street, another single from the album, almost industrial sounding before industrial was used as a term with such groups as Nine Inch Nails. And it's no wonder that Trent Reznor inducted the band into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Um, Fascination Street, again, lengthier track, 5 minutes, 16 seconds. Uh, Heavy bass guitar, stark and very prominent drums on this. After that, we have track 8, Prayers for Rain, atmospheric synths, dark lyrics, simple guitar lines on this track. Um, you know, this album is very dark theme wise. Thoughts of suicide, thoughts of loneliness, thoughts of helplessness, of hopelessness throughout the album. But you know what? Beautifully done, beautifully executed, and just immaculate. There's not one song on this album I would skip. Uh, Track 9, as I'm going back to the tracks, Safety, The Same Deep Water as You, lengthier track, 9 minutes, 19 seconds. Storm effects that start the track, mid-tempo, repetitive rhythm guitar on this track, just great. He's basically talking about wanting to join his loved one. You know, uh, it's just God. It's heart-wrenching to hear it. Um, Disintegration, title track number 10. Melodic, catchy hooks, strong drums on this track, a very repetitive rhythm guitar on this track. And the lengthier tracks do, towards the end of the album, the lengthier tracks do take up the latter part of the album. After Disintegration, we have Homesick. In my notes, I have your nice piano and guitars. Good bottom end in terms of the bass, lush strings on this. And he's basically saying he's tired. He just wants to stop. That part of him wants to stop. And at this point, Robert Smith was dealing with, I do believe, dependency issues during the making of this album. The album finishes with a track called Untitled, clocking in at 6 minutes and 30 seconds. Very rhythmic, gentle guitar chords, ends with what I hear is an accordion passage. I may be wrong, but to my ear, it sounds very much like an accordion that's playing on the end of the track. So there you have it, guys. My ranking the albums of The Cure. Um, how can I put this? It was difficult to get through this catalog of albums. Um, I like The Cure. I really do. I do need to take a break from them once in a while, and which is what I had to do again with this listing. But they are good. They are good. I do like the latter albums more than the earlier albums, like the first four. I do feel that with the first four albums, they were like trying to find their way musically. But they're still good nonetheless. So please put down the comments down there, down below. Your ranking of the Cure albums, which ones you like, which ones you don't like. Do you like the new album? Do you not like the new album? Do you think that they're back to form with this new album, or should they have quit a long time ago? Right? Let me know what you think. And I will be coming up with more episodes very soon. More episodes with Jim Bricker and Bill Schuster and Ken Cheshire, among others, hopefully. And I will see you soon with more. Please click like and subscribe and hit the notification bell to keep yourselves on top of any new content I've got coming up. So, yeah, that's it for now. Please look after yourselves and one another, and I will see you soon with more video content. Bye for now.